Hey, I want to welcome out to everyone to our very first webinar Wednesday. And this is going to be an amazing series over the course of the next 2 months as we get ready to launch our book, Success Through Failing, Finding Your Greatest Gifts in Our Darkest Hours. And I have to tell you, I am starting this series off with a bang by introducing the next two authors. I've got to tell you about them. But before I do, I'm just going to introduce myself because many of you don't even know who I am. My name's Wendy Bunnell. I'm one of the authors, and I'm also the collaborator of the book. And, they say that you become most like the 5 people you surround yourself the most. And since I'm kind of an overachiever, I decided to surround myself with 24 rock stars, right? Like, heck with the 5. Let's do 24, right?
Exactly. Go big or go.
That's right. That's right. So each one of these women is sharing their story. I have to tell you, I really was inspired as to who should be in this book. And honestly, I only knew 3 of these wonderful, beautiful ladies personally before they became a part of the book. And so I just, every day I pinch myself realizing, wow, this is amazing that I get to be a part of, and that this idea somehow entered my brain to create and collaborate with these amazing women. So let me tell you the 2 that you get to meet tonight. We have tonight Connie Sokol and Heidi Totten. And first of all, Connie Sokol I met her years ago when she presented in front of an organization I was a part of called the Utah Foster Care Foundation. And I just loved her, but never really knew her as a friend and as a colleague. But she has written 16 books. She's a regular on Studio 5. She's a presenter. She is a beautiful mother of 7, right? Did I get that right, Connie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have our beautiful Heidi Totten, who is also an author of the best-selling book. She is a coach, a business coach, and then she also has her nonprofit organization called 100 Humanitarians. She has taken 4 groups of people this last year to Kenya and have totaled over 50 people in her first year, bringing women and men to Kenya to really support the families down there and build some really great sustainable business practices for them down there. And so I'm going to let them tell their story. So why don't the first thing that I want you guys to do is just introduce yourself. Okay. So Connie, do you want to get us started? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. My greatest joy is that I have, occasionally a clear laundry counter, and that is really my high point of my day. But I have been speaking to women for over 15, almost 20 years, and have been speaking, creating programs, helping women and their families be able to create more balance and a more purposeful, organized, and joyful lives. Because I really feel strongly about finding that balance in our lives, being able to put family first and then contribute, express who you are, and share your gifts so that you can bless the lives of others. And a lot of women I meet struggle with finding, hey, but I'm just trying to do carpool and get meals on the table. And so how do I express myself? And is that okay for me to take time to do something like that? And what about downtime? And so it's kind of putting all of those things together. That's what I do. I take 8 life areas and I help women get it back to center at a working 80%, because you have to hit 80 on the way. And that way you can find more joy in daily life, not just later on down the roads at some magical point when everything will be done, which doesn't happen. So that's been me. And it just started in different ways and kind of led to this, and lots of different fails, and that led to unexpected successes and more unexpected fails. And so that's kind of, I am a walking sort of example of what it is I'm trying to reach, which is the everyday woman and helping them become their extraordinary selves.
Oh, I love it. And, there's so many women that I know out there that want to do other, big things, but they're so worried about the balance, and they're so worried about, how do I juggle motherhood with a business, or creating something that I'm really interested and passionate about. And you're right. It's just those everyday things like, oh my gosh, but I can't get dinner on the table every single night. What if I have to get fast food 2 nights this week? Does that make me a failure, right? And so,
Right.
I ate popcorn for dinner. I'm just keeping it real. I ate popcorn.
I remember this summer that we had cereal for dinner quite a few times, and I thought, I think I may have stunted my children's growth. I'm not sure.
I love it.
Oh, I didn't even feed my children. I was like, you're on your own. I'm eating popcorn. They know how to find food.
That's right. So Heidi, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm sort of the accidental everything. I didn't get married until I was 30, and so I had this nice, lovely career as a technical recruiter during the dot-com era, and then started my own recruiting company with 2 business partners in 2010, and realized fairly rapidly that while I was awesome at recruiting, I had no clue whatsoever on how to run a business. So after that tanked, I hired a business mentor, because what I realized was that anything that I really wanted to do required a business to support it. And so after a few years of mentoring, a friend said, I really want you to figure out what you want to do, because I want you to do it for me. I said, I have no idea what that means. She said, okay, I'm coming over next Thursday. Charge me what you want. I want you to look at my business and tell me, what's going on. And I said, oh, I can do that. And so I charged her $50 an hour.
Wow.
So I made like $150. And from that strategy session of me just kind of ripping apart her business, she went on to make about $150,000 in the next 6 months. And I thought I really should have charged more for that. That was really dumb. But then from there, I thought, well, you know what? If she paid me to do that, maybe other people need that kind of help as well. And so from there, I've just developed a business model where I work with, entrepreneurs and small businesses in just basically becoming their strategic partner and saying, okay, let's build out this portion of your business. Some people have hired me for a year. Other people have hired me for one strategy session. It just depends on what they need. And then with the humanitarian side, that was peer pressure. I had some friends talk me into going to Kenya, and I didn't even know, I really, truly, honestly did not know where Kenya was in Africa until I think I landed and said, oh, this is East Africa. Okay, got it. I just was, I'm going to Kenya. It's somewhere on that continent. But I really didn't know. And I've been there. I've been, there 4 times. Yeah, I've gone 4 times now in a 2-year time period, and have taken 50 people there. And I always make sure that they know it's East Africa and that they can find it on a map before we go. But that was just, I fell in love with the country and the people, and just saw where my skills could, possibly serve a need there. And so it's been a lot of collaboration and a lot of fun. And what I speak on is balancing business and homeschool, which is really a myth. The whole balance thing is a myth. It's more like just the 80-20 rule, what can I get done in as short of time as possible and maximize my productivity, and sometimes eat popcorn for dinner. And I really think that it covers, I used butter, so it covers 2 food groups, dairy and carbs. Those are the best food groups, right? So yeah, so I have 2 children, and I'm married, and my mom, who is on here, and I moved in, our family, and she moved in 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. And so we are party animals, staying up late watching BBC series and stuff like that. And
And
Out
eating
now.
popcorn.
And eating popcorn. Well, here's the thing. I make the popcorn, and I always make too much. And then I pass the dregs over to my mom, and she wraps it up for me. So it's a effort. It really is. I'm not going to lie. That's our Sunday nights usually. That's our mother-daughter time. So
That's awesome. And Heidi, why don't you introduce one of our other authors that is here, and you can tell them exactly where she is. She is joining us live, and tell us a little bit about her, because she is such an amazing part of this book.
So my story with Anita is really fascinating because in earlier in April, when we were planning our second expedition, I asked two members of my team, are we going to go to the Mau or Bomet? And both of them independently just said, oh, we're going to Bomet. And then one of them, Heather Rangel, said, hang on a second. And she pulled up a message from Anita that she had received on, just after our first trip to Kenya, where Anita said, I would love for you to come and help, and do some projects in my village. And I'm from Bomet, but I live in Mombasa. And it was one of those things where you just think, wow, somebody else is in charge of all of this. And so that's how I met Anita. We took our team to Bomet, and Anita organized and facilitated everything. And we met with families. And then she has just been an absolute dream to work with. She lives in Mombasa on the coast, but she goes home to Bomet, and I basically am like, hey, could you do this? And she's like, it's 6 a.m. I just got to Bomet. And then 3 hours later, she's built 3 garden boxes and planted 10 trees. And I'm like, do you sleep? I don't think you sleep, So she's just one of those women that was, I think, really, she was born in Kenya to make a difference. She's an absolute change maker, both for her community and for Kenya at large. And one of the biggest things that she has accomplished is I don't even know if she has this in her chapter, but she was instrumental in getting a huge, enormous grant from doTERRA Helping Hands for her organization, which, doTERRA, that's a big deal. She lives in Kenya, and her project was talked about at the doTERRA convention this last September. So she's a big deal.
She is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's awesome. So,
yeah.
So the next question I want to ask both of you ladies, so Connie, I'll have you go first, is why did you decide to be a part of this book? What called to you? And then the second part of that question is, how do you define success? And is that different now than it used to be?
I think they're both good questions. The first one is just, I really felt connected to this whole concept. I know Brene Brown talks about this a lot, about the failure and success kind of cycle and the connection between the two. And I think that's a fabulous, it's a concept that I think we need to embrace more as women, where as women, wives, and mothers, we have to accept the fact that we're going to be less than what we hope we'll be, and less than the ideal that even society puts the pressure on us, because studies show that it is a real pressure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got a little bit lag.
Bros.
At least it's in a good spot. Sometimes it freezes and you're like really weird. Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that I have learned for myself is that over the years, the thing that really called to me about this book was that I've had a lot of what you would call, but in that process of those fails is where I really was strengthened, and I learned, and I became aware. And that can't happen until you actually go through it. Mm-hmm. So I think back to, I do Studio 5 twice a month. And I remember 10 years ago, I was doing my first Studio 5. And I remember them talking to me about the segment, and I knew nothing. about how to do TV. But here I was talking through my nose, telling them how I think we should do the 6 to 8 minute segment. Okay, 6 to 8 minute segment like goes so fast. You can hardly even imagine how fast you start, and then in a blink you're done. But I was giving them these suggestions of, well, we could go to this part of the set, and then I could show a visual aid, and then I could talk about that, and then I could walk and move to another part of the set, and then I could do a different visual aid and talk. And I know these producers were just like rolling their eyes inside, like, who does she think she is? But they were darling. They totally worked with me, let me try different things, were open to letting me try things. I did a call with Julie Morgenstern back in New York, and I sat there just with the voice thing going, and it was so boring, but they were so to let me try. And because they did, I owned those fails, and I worked hard to find a better way to do it. So I really love that idea that when we allow ourselves and our children and our spouse or our community members to do their process, we're all like better and invested in that whole process together, and we're bettered by it if we choose to be. So I love this concept. Absolutely love it. So remind me of the second question that you just asked.
You bet. So what is your definition of success, and is it different now than it used to be?
Yes, like I said, success is when I can get everyone where they need to be in a given day, and I haven't forgotten a single child and left them there. I'm stoked. Like, life is good. But I think my successes now, I feel like I'm more realistic with myself about what success means, and I'm more satisfied with when I'm an 80%er and I got pretty close, because I know what that means is that I'm getting super close to my actual ideal. And so my personal integrity and drive is still there, but I think it's becoming more mature as to what I expect of myself, what I expect of others. Success to me is more now synergy rather than absolute outcome. And it's more growth than it is tangible checkoffs. Mm-hmm. And so those things have shifted a little bit. You still have to have the tangibles, but those things have shifted a little bit for me. And now I find myself, like when I've created programs before, I would do it by myself, and I was creating the workbooks and doing the videos, and I was doing the audio, I'm doing these CDs while I'm like 8 months pregnant, and I'm trying to breathe in between takes and stuff, and up at 2 a.m. and that kind of thing. And now I work with other women, and within one meeting we'll have accomplished more than I could have done in a week or two because of the synergy and the connection. And the experience is so much more enjoyable. So I'm learning to trust myself and trusting others and their input and their experience so that we can create something that's even better than what we have, and usually more efficient. And not that when you work with others it's necessarily more efficient, but in the long run, you actually have a richer, more efficient experience because it's more than what you could have made on your own.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, for so many years when I was younger too, I felt like I had to do it all myself, and I had to prove to everybody I could do it all, right? And as you one of the beautiful things about maturing, and I think my 40s have been the very best decade of my life, right? I love it. I'm getting very close to my 50s. Very, very
loved my 40s,
my 50s, and I'm just discovering that it's okay. We can't do it all. We need each other, and I just love how you're in that place. You understand, and I could have tried to write a book by myself, and I really I realized how powerful can it be with other stories of different successes, different failures. And so absolutely that synergy and that networking, when we talk about success too, if you talk to any really successful businesswoman, you're going to see that she has a huge network and a sphere of influence that she can help them, and they can get resources to her. And it just, you can't do it alone. You simply cannot do it alone.
And it's not as enjoyable. You don't have anyone to celebrate. I did an anthology. I wrote a book. I wrote all these books by myself, and then I did a couple of anthologies. And boy, when it hit best-selling on Amazon, we went to lunch, it's like that. Anne Lamott said that when she had her big book come out nationally, like on that day, there was another author that was going to have his book come out, and like it went out there was nothing. It was crickets.
Yeah.
And so, he sent her flowers. That was the only thing. And she was like, gee, I thought there'd be some kind of excitement. So when you have other people involved, you're celebrating together. And that's part of the joy of doing it.
Love it. So Heidi, let's hear yours. So tell me why you decided that you wanted to be a part of this book, and what is your definition of success, and has it changed over time?
Well, so I decided to be a part of this book because you made me.
Whatever.
No, Wendy called me and she said, well, here's my vision of this. And when you get a call like that, and this is what I'm trying to do, automatically, and I'm going to speak for Connie on this because I know she did it too, and probably Anita, automatically it was like, geez, which failure am I actually going to talk about? Because there's so many, this week that I can write about that it's like, where do I even start? And it was funny because my mom, who's editing, even said, gosh, I could kind of write this book or this chapter for you. And I was like, yeah, you could. And so I think for me, it was the opportunity to really, it's cathartic and therapeutic to say, okay, I blew it, this is how I blew it. And this is the number of times I blew it. And actually, I'm not even telling you the whole story here because I have one chapter, but the way that I measure success, so I'm going to kind of combine the answer in these, is celebrating all of the little wins, really. Because how do you measure? I'm still baffled by the stuff that happens. Even today, I had a big thing happen that I thought, wow, this happened. And I love to tell people, and now I'm still baffled by it, but I had a friend say today when I told him about, hey, this happened today, he's like, and you're surprised? And I'm like, yes, I still am. And I think that that's successful because even my successes, I'm like, hey, that's cool. That's really, really cool. And I still get excited by it. And I think that when you lose that enthusiasm for the wins, that's when you stop being successful, because then it becomes more about entitlement. Like, oh, I deserve this, or, I've earned this. But when you kind of still have that, which I do, that childlike enthusiasm, or when you can use humor with it. My story opens up where in this business partnership with these two partners, I had 13 years of experience in recruiting at the time, and so did they. So it was combined. We had just an astronomical amount of experience, and all of us had been in recruiting since the beginning. And so, from a professional standpoint, we should have been set because we had that kind of experience. And about 18 months into the partnership, one of my partners said, I don't think you should be taking a draw from this company because you're not supporting a family, and we are. And I was like, and I'm out, and really that's what I did. I just walked away because I knew that I couldn't deal with that. And it was a huge failure. Here's what was so funny is that we lived in the same neighborhood, and I never saw him after that. We used to when we were business partners, we used to run into each other all the time. But once I left that partnership, I did not run into him until, oddly, I ran into him at a restaurant last year, right before I went to Kenya for the first time. And when he walked in the door, I thought, hey, that guy looks familiar. And I didn't even realize who he was. Wow. And that was success for me, because that was a huge failure. And to be able to be like, when I saw him, I was like, hey, oh. And then I just was, how are you? What are you up to? Blah, 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 And I was with my best friend, and she said, who was that? And I said, that was my old business partner, Sam. She was like, wow, you were really nice to him. And I'm like, I know, right? Success. Because I wasn't triggered by the failure of it.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that's really how I define success. As long as I still get really excited and, really enthusiastic about the wins, then I'm still successful. because every little celebration, especially after the big failures, every celebration just seems like golden. And, you know, I'm with Connie. I got home today after this training that I've been doing for the last few days, and it took me about 10 minutes. And then I finally said to my husband, do you know where our kids are? Just out of curiosity. Like, I haven't heard them. And he knew, so that was good. But I was like, wow, 10 minutes in, I'm such an awesome mom. I didn't even think, where are my kids? I haven't seen them all day. I was like, oh, what am I going to eat for dinner? Popcorn. You know? So I'll celebrate the success that after 10 minutes I actually asked.
I love it. And, you know, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I absolutely believe that many of us get into a mode where we are constantly picking on ourselves for what we don't do and what we don't succeed. I run a group coaching program, and I just remember this last week, I was connecting with one of the participants and asking her what her successes were. And she said we were practicing a morning ritual, morning routine. And I asked her how she was doing with that. And she's like, well, I only did it 2 times this week. And I said, well, how many times did you do that morning ritual prior to joining this? Well, never. I've never done it before. I said, so you need to celebrate your success in doing it twice this week. Remember, perfection is a direction, not a destination, right? We just have to celebrate what we're doing along the way, because we're not going to get it perfect, right? We're just not. But if we're headed the right direction, then we're going to get the end result of what we want, right?
That's right.
So the last question I have for you lovely ladies tonight is, we're talking about success. We're going to be having an upcoming success summit with all of us on February 4th in Sandy, Utah, which we're going to be holding. We're going to have a limited amount of seats for people who want to be there. They need to get their tickets pretty soon. But we're also live streaming it too, throughout the country, throughout the world, really. And so one of the things that people are going to be coming together is learning how to become successful. So, Connie, if you were to give one bit of advice of someone out there that wants a secret sauce, and we know there's not really a secret sauce, but if you were to give one bit of advice to someone out there listening, what would you give to them for achieving success?
You know, hands be your genuine self. From the very beginning, by default, I was my genuine self, and I'm so grateful. There were times when I got advice to look businessy and do this so that it looks professional and all of these different things. And sometimes I went a little bit down that road to try to test it like a little velociraptor, and then I was like, that does not feel genuine. But being genuine to me is what has really connected me with women. Years ago, I remember I had lots of little kids. I think I had 4, 6 and under, and I was doing a little bit of speaking for Education Week, and I was doing local and then a little bit of national, but just here and there. And I just didn't feel like I was in the groove. You know, I wasn't really in that realm. I was really soaked in motherhood and then just putting my toe in. And I remember going to speak at this one event, and I sat next to this lady. It was put together every step of the way. Earrings just so, eyebrows just so, every hair was back. It was like everything was just so and coordinated to the hilt. And she was talking about doing the national circuit and all that. And before long, I was feeling so scared because I had to follow this woman, right? So she gets up there, and she's very NSA, which is National Speaking Association. She was doing a lot of gestures like this, hand movements and moving in the V, going back and forth. And I'm like, oh my laws. I was checking for like Cheerios stuck on my suit and ripping my nylons. And I had these homemade visual aids, right? So I was dying. I'm thinking, I am like crazy in front of these women. And you know what? The women, and I say this, just take it with a grain of salt, but the women were bored stiff. So was I with her presentation. Love her, but it was just boring. And I just thought, I'm just going to be myself because I'm going to bomb anyway. So I got up on that stage and I'm chatting with them while I'm setting up my visual aids. I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that, but I'm just going to chat. And I chatted and I was myself and I shared stories and we laughed and we cried and I taught principles that really got results. And I knew it because I had practiced it and tried it on my guinea pig children. And I resonated with those women and I could feel it and so could they. And I had women getting my number after and getting my business card. And it really was a pivotal moment for me that I was like, I have got to keep being myself. And it's funny because I'll still come up against those experiences where you keep up leveling and you don't realize, you think you're going to have, okay, now I signed with a national agent, right, for publishing my book. But you're still, it's not a done deal. It's not a guarantee. You're still continuing to grow and up level and get scared and all of that. And I just recently, I started doing these things called Connie chats. And it was just for me to connect with women through video. And so I had a friend that does PR and I had her come over and we were just doing a test run, right, of this Connie chat. And so it was in my IKEA chair in a corner in my room, my bedroom. I come out of the shower, just dried my hair. I was in my house dress and a hoodie. And I sat in the chair and said, give me a thought. And so I just gave her like a 2-3 minute thought of what was on my mind. And it was, she was coming over and I looked around the house and I noticed all these piles of things like my daughter's artwork and her paint she had left out and my other child who had been doing some kind of a craft thing. And then my Chubbs and my toddler, that's what I call him. And he was doing Legos and building. And so there was all these piles of things. And then like the chocolate sauce that you didn't realize was there until you know someone's coming over on the wall. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I need to clean this up before she comes over. She'll see my mess, right? And then I stopped and I thought, no, this is the hum of a home. All of these piles are meaningful. These are meaningful. And this is life lived. This is our family living. Now, some of it's a mess and just needs to be cleaned up. But the other piles are growth and it's joy. And that's what makes that feeling in my home a joyful feeling. So anyway, I shared that thought. I get done and she goes, you've got to load that. You've got to make it go live. I'm like, what? I don't have makeup on. I look like death. I'm in my house dress. She's like, you need to post it. So I said, we'll do it as a test and I'll just put a little disclaimer. Sorry, I'm in my house dress. I'll make it better next time. Do you know I had more views on that than anything else? Mm-hmm. And it really taught me, again, being genuine is exactly how I will connect. So whether you're doing some business strategic like Heidi, or you're doing a photography, or you're doing something with the Girl Scouts, whatever you're doing, be your genuine self at the level that you're at. And as you relate to women, they will let down their guard and they'll be vulnerable and relate back to you. And you'll both be able to grow in the process. And you'll both be open to the learning and you'll enjoy the process. That's what I've learned.
Oh, love it. Oh, love it. Taking it all in. So Heidi, same question for you. So give us that little golden nugget I know you have.
My golden nugget.
Your golden nugget.
My golden nugget is brought to you by Zig Ziglar. If you help enough people get what they want, then you will get what you want. And I really believe that it's all about connection. Success, like we talked about, that the women that are the most successful have a network of people that they can call on to help them. And so I'm, my role in what I do is as a supporter and a connector. So I want to support you in what you want to do in your life using my skills. And then I want to connect you to tools and resources and mentors and systems that can help you with that as well. So that's really important to me. And once I realized that, I think I was playing for so long trying to be the guru, trying to be that person like Connie that you just described. There's no way. I've never had a hair in place. So, I'm like, so it's really one of those things. I've never done. My sister, I've got to tell you, this is hilarious. She comes to me about a year ago and she said, I have a really, really sensitive question to ask you. Okay. She's 6.5 years younger than me and I'll be 45 in March. So she's not in her 40s yet. And so she said, so what made you decide to grow out your bangs? I was like, sensitive question. I said, I never knew how to do bangs. So I finally gave up. She's like, really? that's why you grew out your bangs? It wasn't like a, like a hairstyle thing. I said, no, it's because I could never get beyond the 80s claw. So I grew them out so that I could stop doing that. And I said, and she said, I don't know how I could, I don't know. I'm so self-conscious. I said, you know what, turn 40 and this is not going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
More. And I think that's the thing, is that I've watched and I've worked with so many women that felt like they had to be perfect in order to be seen. And I think that when you are willing to just show up as you, I agree with Connie, and stop trying to be the guru or stop trying to be somebody that you're not, even though that's, the interesting thing, my friend Angela Johnson, who was one of my business coaches, she teaches about marketing archetypes. And she said, most marketing programs are designed for a guru to implement, but only about 10% of people in business are that personality type. So when you recognize, and when I finally recognized, oh, I'm a supporter connector, that's who I am. I know everybody. I mean, if I don't know you, I know someone who knows you. It's like the 2 degrees of Heidi Totten instead of Kevin Bacon. And I've done that all my life. I really have, where I just know people and I know what people do. I can retain that. That's my gift. So, as you connect with people, learn that skill to know what they do so that you can say, hey, I know somebody that you should talk to. I'm forever. Facebook Messenger is my gold mine, because I can connect people really fast and make sure that things get done for people. And so if you are always thinking of ways that you can support people when they ask for things, then that's, even if that's just a little success, oh, hey, I know this person's looking for a house to rent and this person's renting a house. Let me connect them and see if that works. Success! Yay! I helped someone out today. So help people get what they want, and then it will come back to you.
I love it. And I have to tell you, I say I'm the collaborator on this book, but I have to give Heidi a lot of credit. She is the master connector. I'm going to tell you that, oh my gosh, many, many authors in this book are a part of this book because Heidi got me in touch with them. She saw that they would be a beautiful addition to this book, and she connected me with them. And so I have to give her a lot of credit for this. And really, I feel like such success, like super, super success. The book made a big change as soon as Heidi was a part of it. It was almost like, wow. So I have to give her credit. And really, if it wasn't for Heidi, Connie wouldn't be a part of it. Anita wouldn't be a part of it. Really, she walks the walk of what, she walks the talk, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is because what she just said is absolutely what she does. Connie, same way. She walks the talk. And so I love everything that you guys said today. It was so beautiful. It was so inspiring to me. I know that it's going to be so inspiring for so many women. To get real, get genuine, to really connect and serve others, so that as they're helping others, that they're creating their own success. So we're just going to wrap things up. I promised a $25 Amazon gift card for those for one lucky winner that was on here live. And so I'm going to ask a question. Whoever chats the answer in the bottom little, so you see the little screen. Oh, I see people are getting ready to chat. Okay. So tell me how many kids, let's see, no, I'm just trying to come up with a good question. What secret sauce did Connie give us that was her secret sauce for success? What was her, yay, Sabrina got it. Be genuinely yourself. You got it. So you get an Amazon gift card.
Yay! Thank you.
Good job. And so I'm actually going to do the next one for the people who are going to get this via email or listen to it after the fact. We're going to get, because this is our first one, I'm going to do it this way, but from here on out, it's only live. Okay. So I have one free group coaching package for my Critical to Confident program. And I've gotten some feedback. It's been really instrumental in really helping people to understand who they are and be beautiful in their skin, right? Like Heidi was saying, just being accepting to your own self and not feeling like you have to be this picture perfect thing to be seen. In fact, I would say the people who I believe are most attractive, if you really look at them, they may not have the perfect nose or the perfect eyes or the perfect hair, but they feel so good about themselves confidently. They genuinely accept themselves as who they are, and therefore they can see the goodness in other people around them, right? When you leave a confident person's side, you often feel better about yourself than when you started, because they help identify the strengths and point out the strengths in yourself, right? So that's a lot about what the Critical to Confident program is all about, turning that negative voice off and really turning on something that is empowering, and you can become your greatest advocate, your greatest cheerleader. So I'm going to give away, that's a $197 value. So the first person that emails me the answer to this question is going to get my one free group coaching package from me. And that is, how many kids does Heidi have? So there you have it. Okay. So you have to listen in order to get it. Last but not least, I again invite you all to put on your calendar February 4th for our Success Summit that is going to be live in Sandy, Utah at the Miller Center. And then I'm also going to, we're going to be live streaming the main session, general session, throughout the world. And so if you want to know more about that, go to successthroughfailing.ticketleap.com. You can purchase tickets. And remember, we have limited amount of seats. So if you want to be there with 24 amazing women, make sure that you get on that and get those tickets before they sell out. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been amazing. I've loved your responses and hope you guys have a great evening and that you've enjoyed your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.